So AJ also said, sometimes I find myself not having enough time to take a break and get some fresh ears so he can deliver his best work to his clients. That's a really interesting one. I find that the more you don't break, the more of a hole you dig yourself into.
I agree,
So
1,000%.
So almost doing less is better. And that's how a lot of mixing goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see it as if you make very focused choices, changes, decisions in general, you say, okay, I'm going to get all my drum editing done, or I'm going to get my drums dialed in, and then I'm going to work on getting my bass and my drums together. Then I'm going to work on getting my vocals to have the right sound. And if you kind of make it segmented that way, it actually almost lends itself to taking breaks.
Yeah.
You get your drums dialed in, go back to your kitchen, have some water, take it easy for a bit. And then when you come back, one of the things I always make sure I do is whenever I take a break, the first thing I listen to when I come back is reference material. So as soon as I come back, I'm back to zero perspective and I'm back to my reference and I go, okay, this is what I was trying to go for, something similar to this.
Yep.
Stop the
Clean
reference,
slate.
hit play. And then now, at this point, not only did I get a little bit of a break, I specifically finished one portion of the mix. Now I can specifically compare that one portion of the mix to my reference material. And then, go through the next bit, get my bass dialed in or whatever. Go take a 5-minute break, come back, do exactly the same thing. Get the next bit, the vocals, come back, etc. By segmenting the workflow itself, it actually lends itself to creating breaks, for me at least.
I was going to say, if you're someone like me who I have done a lot of just working into a cave and then you come out of it and you're like, what did I do? It just happens. It happens to the best of us. My method for breaking a habit is time boxing myself. I have a phone. Now I have one of these like Apple Watch things. And what you can do is you can set timers for yourself. You set a 30-minute timer, 45-minute timer, an hour timer. You say, I'm going to get this done in this amount of time. The second that timer goes off, you leave. You get out, go do something for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You come back, and then you start again. And what that does is it forces you into a 30-minute chunk, 45-minute chunk workflow. Then you all of a sudden start becoming faster and more efficient at goals and tasks. And then you take breaks at the same time. So it's kind of a good way of breaking yourself out of that habit of mixing into a cave.
What happens if you're dead in the middle of doing something when that break comes up? Do you just finish it and then take the break?
I'll either finish it, take a break, or I'll add another 30 minutes.
Basically snooze it.
Yeah,
snooze
you hit
it.
the snooze button, get a couple extra minutes.
Yeah.
It at least keeps you aware of time and space, because that all kind of goes to shit when you're in a mixing frenzy, right?
Yeah.
Right. Especially since most mixing rooms are in the dark. There's no windows, right? You don't even know what time of day it is.
Yep.
But that actually reminds me of another thing. Every time I take a break, I make sure to step outside of the room that I'm mixing in, right? Because your ears get used to what a room sounds like, right? You close your eyes, you walk in a room, you have some idea of how large it is based on the way it sounds, the room tone and all that, right? By stepping outside of that room, it's yet another step of reset. I put myself in a different physical space. My ears kind of recalibrate to that. Then when I come back into this space, it kind of works as another step of resetting. Or it might be, taking a 45-minute trip down to, the Blue Bottle in Chelsea.
There you
to go get a cup of coffee and then come back and go, this mix sucked.
Yeah, but you have to do it in your car, right? Because when you're on your motorcycle, you go deaf, apparently.
That thing is not quiet. So, Dan, it sounds like you take breaks every 30 minutes. Is that right?
That's about right, yeah.
And Kenny, what about yourself?
30 minutes I think is a good time limit.
I'm in about the same, and I think my breaks are usually 5 or more minutes.
Yeah.
So realistically, I probably get 30 minutes of work done every 45 minutes. And it still seems to work out that in about 4.5 hours, I can finish a complete mix. Taking the breaks makes my work more focused and more efficient because I pick specific things to do. I don't know.
Same thing happened with me when I started playing guitar. I realized 2 years in that if I took more breaks, it gave me time for my muscles to kind of memorize what I was doing. The muscle memory would kind of set in, and then I'd come back to something. I'd play it perfect the first time after a break. I was like, crap.
Right.
Okay.
That happens to me all the time. Yeah.
Well, so that's also an interesting point to note, right? The idea is that you want to make the best final sounding production there is, right? Instead of falling into the rabbit hole of tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, if you keep stepping out and coming back and come at it objectively compared to a reference, it becomes very easy to focus on one specific thing against the reference. Is it better? Is it worse? Am I going in the right direction? It really does help your focus.
Yeah, it's also about getting out of your head a little bit too.
Yeah,
right.
Because you just do get lost. I mean, if you're talking in front of a bunch of people, you talk way better if you don't listen to what's going on in your head. You just let it flow.
Does this count as a bunch of people?
With this, after a certain amount of time, you kind of get trapped in your own thoughts and critiques and how you're working it. If you get away from it for a few minutes and come back, you see the big picture again. You get to look at it more objectively.
Yeah.
Right. I think that kind of covers most of the details to making sure you keep fresh perspective and taking breaks.
Yep. So yeah, that's what we got for you, AJ. Thanks for posting, and we encourage any and all of you to post your questions because we love trying to answer them for you. And yeah, that's all we got for tonight. So have a great week. Keep mixing and take care, everyone.
See you guys
Awesome.
in the new
Thanks,
year.
guys.
Bye.
See ya.